This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
And I think that's half the battle of asking people for help. Like, what if they say no? Then I'm that friend that asks for help, and like that's a whole new tailspin. I feel like too.
But it is good to be prepared for that.
Did you ever watch Tailspin?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, man.
The
Tailspin.
cartoon?
Yeah.
Yes.
With the ducks and
Right after Gummy Bears.
Yeah, totally.
Gummy Bears, that was a show.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Oh fuck yeah, man.
High adventures that beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. That is your meditation song. If you need to be mindful, just go over the Gummy Bears theme song.
Fuck.
That will pop into my head.
I'm
and
so
will be in
glad.
yours
I'm
now.
so glad I interrupted whatever
of your
important
life.
conversation we're having for me to just sidetrack you on that. I'm like, hey, she said Tailspin. You don't want to get in that emotional. Hey, she said Tailspin. You guys remember Tailspin?
BroTime.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. We're doing.
Hey.
We're doing the BroTime.
BroTime
thing.
here.
BroTime. Yeah. Welcome back. We're doing things. Today, all three of us are back. It's been a couple weeks since we've all been together. Yeah.
You assholes keep getting COVID.
I know.
Keep getting COVID.
I still
It's like a
dodging the
revolving
bullet.
door.
I am Neo. I'm good so far.
There you go.
And really, the only secret to that is I live by myself and I just wear a fucking mask.
No, the secret to me not getting COVID is because I live like Boo Radley.
I'm
That's a deep cut.
That is a deep one. Good for you.
Deep
To
cut.
Kill a Mockingbird joke
Yes,
for all the
I
book
was
readers
gonna
out
say
there.
it's Hitchcockian, but I have not seen it. I know there's a toy store in Eastern Washington at one point called Boo Radley's.
Oh, all right.
I heard about this because this is 20 years ago. I wanted to call my band that, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's.
I was literally just gonna say that. I want a band named Boo Radley.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not even kidding. I'm like, oh, that's a great band name. It's
It
like, no, it's
is.
from. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was just a name made up, like the drummer said. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to avoid a pandemic, just adopt Boo Radley's way of life, and it keeps you safe.
There it is.
Couldn't you do so? The only Hitchcock movie I saw was Rear Window, and that guy was just chilling in his house all day, fucking too. So couldn't you say, wasn't that Jimmy Stewart? You could just be like chill like him in a wheelchair, just watch.
Yeah, or you could be like Walden, be in Alaska in the middle of nowhere. Henry David Thoreau.
Oh,
Yeah, Walden.
Castaway.
Yeah.
Tom
He had
Hanks,
2 chairs.
Castaway.
Still haven't seen that, but I kind of
Oh
get the vibe.
God, that's right.
That's a good one.
the
You
vibe
got
on
it.
I got a noise complaint at an apartment that I used to live in
For watching
Castaway.
I was just gonna say,
The no dialogue
I was just
Castaway.
gonna say
Was
that
it because the
movie's
movie
quiet.
was
I
too
just
loud or
about
your
to say that
sobs were
movie's
too
fucking
loud?
quiet.
Well, my downstairs neighbor was an asshole. That's what we found out. But I think I was crying a little too loudly.
It's a
I
rough
was sad.
one.
When he was doing the Wilson thing,
Oh,
I'm like, I just
every
want a friend too.
time.
What's his only friend?
Yeah, I used to have one of those antenna toppers of Wilson.
Oh,
in my
yeah.
car.
Uh-huh.
Some asshole stole that.
Ah,
You know,
He'll return it once you see the movie.
I don't think that's the way that works.
hey, you never know, man.
Should probably get on eBay for that. Find that Wilson antenna topper.
Probably
would you
make
pay for that?
I'd probably make you one,
I-
bud, for free. I'll
Bud.
get a Starbucks,
Bud.
bud.
Yeah, sport.
Bud.
Come on, man.
Sport. Fuck. Isn't Kinsey the youngest one? Shouldn't she be the sport in the group? Fuck. That's reserved for the
man.
youngest in the crowd.
I'm definitely the oldest in this group.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Fucking, yeah, you're way older than me, man. Way older.
Way, huh? Like 5 years?
Not even. I think we could have gone to high school together, which if that's the case, that's not really that much older.
No, not at all.
You
No. 41.
That's
It was when you were born?
Born in 80.
19. Oh, hi-oh, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Hi-oh, FDR. Oh,
yes.
let's look at this baby right here. Baby, I don't know.
See here.
Yeah, it's my FDR.
We're doing a little yoga pose here, see?
Fuck, dude. That's my FDR.
Smoking these jazz cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes.
So good.
Oh, man. So what the fuck y'all been up to, man? What was it 2 weeks, man?
Well, I spent a week in Tennessee and visiting Mandy's parents.
Oh.
So was there. And,
What part?
Franklin, which is just outside of Nashville.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, Mike, let's bring it back to Memphis or Nashville. It's like
Right.
about an hour out of Memphis. I'm like, cool, I've heard of that.
Yep. We drove to see her dad's, where her dad grew up. They have like a farm that they still own out there in Kentucky.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we drove up and the whole place was like they left it and the house was in like a shambles on the ground. So like the house that he grew up in was just this pile of rubble.
Wow.
And I just walked out there and I started crying a little bit because he was just like, well, this is where I used to live. And I was like, this is where you used to live and nobody took care of it. And it's just sitting here.
Oh man.
But yeah, had the big barn and stuff out there. So I got a full country experience.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
My mom was born in Kentucky, or
the
maybe
town
her
was like
grandmother.
800 people there. It was like it was
Yeah.
like a movie. It
Totally.
was nuts.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
a
weird.
movie.
It was like
I
a
can't
movie.
I can't remember the town in Kentucky she grew up in or she was born in, but it's the same. We went out there a couple times growing up in the 80s and 90s, and it's very similar, right? There was like the house they live in now, but then there was the house my grandmother
Right.
was born in,
Yep, yep.
and it's like it's so dilapidated. Like they would every
Yes.
time they go there, they would get another brick from it because there'd be a loose brick, and
Like
I'm just
one
like,
of the cousins
what the hell
takes
is
like
this
pieces
shit?
of wood and makes
You
stuff
know
out of
it's-
it,
you know
and
that's
like
gonna
Yeah.
hasten the
he was
demise of the
losing-
building if you remove stuff from it. That's why they say not take
Well, they
rocks
were
and
already
shit
down.
from national parks.
Oh, this
he
is
was
their house.
losing his mind because the big street that they lived on, which street is a stretch, it was like a dirt road that they lived on. Everyone had garbage cans, and he's like, "Well, this is new. They have garbage disposal here." And I was like, "What the hell did you guys do with garbage?" He's like, "We just
Burn.
threw it in the sinkhole." And I was like, well, this is how we got to global warming.
Fucking sinkhole.
There's just
Yep,
a sinkhole
yep.
somewhere on the property, and they just threw all their shit in there.
Yep, that sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah.
Burn it or find
Yeah,
the hole.
exactly.
Yep. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I've been living in the country for the past week,
Hell yeah.
but other than that,
Find
it's
any
been Boo
weed out
Radley.
there?
No, but there was a bunch of CBD stores, so I feel like maybe they're on their way because Nashville's getting pretty liberal because all the hippies are moving out there now. So
Yeah.
Well, I
'cause
mean,
of-
it's like I would.
it's the new it town. It's like the new
I would
Seattle.
go there and I would talk to some fucking musician. I'd be like, dude, can I buy some of that jazz cigarette shit?
Jazz cigarettes.
Got any of those jazz cigarettes, sir?
I'm just surprised it's not legalized all over the
I
place yet.
can't believe it.
You know, but it's those, and not to say Bible Belt, but there's the.
No, fucking say it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of the states that don't want to legalize it, they see the money that it can bring in, which should be the swayer for
I
anybody.
mean,
Church
if-
doesn't have a problem
You know?
not paying taxes. They're taking 10% of your fucking money.
Right.
Ooh, hot take.
Snap.
Speaking of churches, I literally uttered the phrase, "Is this the church district?" And she's like, "No, this is just."
This is the South.
This is just the South because it was literally church
church-
after church after church, and I was picturing like
Is
you know
this the
how
church district?
like
That was a
Aurora
legitimate-
has like all the car dealerships. I was like, oh, this is
That's
where the car
the-
dealerships
yeah.
are. I was like, are these where all the churches are? She's like, nope, this is just the road.
Like, fuck.
I was like, and they kept telling us like, oh, if you want to live on the farm, if things ever get bad, you could move on the property on the farm. And I was like, I couldn't think of a place I'd like to be less.
You're like so the solution if things are go bad is to make them go dramatically worse.
Right? Yeah. Dig
The
myself a
solution- yeah,
sinkhole?
exactly,
No,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly,
living in the
exactly.
sinkhole. Not
So
doing
you move
it.
right in.
It's gonna make you appreciate what you left.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's not that bad off.
No, it was cute. He's
Good
a very
Lord.
old country boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sweet.
It's I like getting back to just taking ourselves out of our traditional routines, whatever it is, but also to like culturally take us into
Yeah.
something different. Because I'll take myself. I forget a lot. This is a big country that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have to go out of this country to experience something very culturally different.
Yeah.
And man, when you find it, it's very
It's
different.
just Eastern Washington, man.
Oh, right, most
Completely
definitely.
different.
Yeah, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I go back home to Texas, visit my family, it's.
Do you know that whole state doesn't recycle? The
Yeah.
whole state.
Yep.
Why
In
are we
Texas?
the whole state of Texas? And that is
Yeah.
the biggest state we have, which with probably the most styrofoam on the planet, and it's all just in a landfill somewhere.
in the
And I'm
garbage.
like, why are the rest of us even trying? Like
Yeah.
they will all of the recycling put together.
I had a friend tell me one time about 10 years ago, pretty cynical view, but I got amusement out of it. But it was recycling's a lot like voting. It doesn't really make a difference, but you're an asshole if you don't do it.
I know it doesn't.
Yeah.
What is it like? 4% of it actually gets
Right.
recycled.
Well, yeah, and it
does make
it
me
was,
feel better, though.
We used to just send it on barges over to China, but they won't even take our recycling.
yeah.
You know, in
yeah.
Arizona, my
It's a
parents
scam.
moved from Seattle to
I
Arizona,
believe in it, quarter.
and it was a brand new neighborhood, and my dad had paid for recycling, and there was like one or two other houses on the street, and paid for it for like 2 years until we found out that Arizona and Tucson didn't even have a recycling plant. They were just charging people for recycling and putting it in the landfill. And I'm like, this is what's wrong with this country.
That's
so fucked.
Just making a buck.
I know.
Well, a lot of this too, even though we can't recycle all the things we are technically recycling, a lot of it is the habitualness of it, right? We're getting to the point to where
I'm
we
using
can.
every part of that buffalo I killed. Every part of that buffalo.
Damn straight, man. You use the horn to call people to dinner. You're milking the buffalo.
I am a unique
look at
person,
you,
so
man.
don't fucking lump me with you guys.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, that is that Dolly Parton hoodie made out of buffalo hide.
That's a good point. Good point. This is probably fast fashion too.
It's just made out of plastic straws, right?
I used all the blood from the buffalo to make the Dolly
Dolly
Parton.
dyes, make the pigment for the dyes for the silk screen. Shit.
Oh, fucking love that. Yep. And you went to Tool, right?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Was Seven Dust the opener?
No, Seven Dust was not the opener.
Who did open?
Blonde Redhead, which I had heard
Oh,
of.
yeah, I know
I don't think
them.
I've heard of them.
I did not really see much of that, but
I feel like they're not really on the same musical
no,
level as
in
Tool.
general, I mean, Tool's kind of its own thing, and
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true. They're on their own
well,
category.
that's the whole thing. Is probably the biggest problem with Tool is their fans, and I admit I'm one of them.
Why
But-
is their fan base? Their fan base is like cult following.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
very
And there
much
are
like
some
that.
bands that are like that, and
Well,
Tool's.
they don't really do anything to kind of dissuade from that by like not doing interviews, not really doing shit, not having their lyrics.
Yeah.
They just went on Spotify like 3 years ago.
Right, totally.
Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. I've seen the band a shitload of times, so I'm like one of that. But it's just like you go to the show, and I always give them, don't be that guy. Shitload of that guy at
Yeah.
that show.
There's enough of those guys.
Actually, amazingly enough, and I pointed this out to my buddy who I went to the show with, was that the crowd was actually more my age. And so I'm 37, but it was more people like my age, not like a younger generation of fan. There were younger people there, but it was much more people.
The people that have listened to them.
Then
Do you
that's
think
kind
like
of-
Tool's getting any like? I feel like Tool is the kind of band that will carry out its fan base that already has a love for it, but I don't know if they're bringing in the Gen Zs.
I see,
but I don't know
that's-
that for sure.
See, that's kind of why I was thinking about it along those lines. But also, and this is also, I mean, I'm admittedly a fan, but like they kind of have that Zeppelin-esque kind of like draw and popularity to a certain extent, not as widespread, obviously.
Right,
but I
right.
think
Yeah, I know what you
honestly, as time kind of we'll see. But they've also been doing it now for 30 fucking years. Zeppelin
Right.
really did it for 10. So it's like it's tough because the bands that we don't think about Rolling Stones in the same way, and these are all different bands. We don't think of Rolling Stones because they, until like fucking like 6 months ago, were still touring.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Is
So-
Tool? Do they have new music or is it?
Yeah,
it
no, they
just-
released. This is the other fucking thing. So their newest album came out like maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and that
2
was
years,
after
yeah.
13 years between albums. Like, okay, dickheads.
They pulled an Adele.
Yeah, well, Adele waited what, 10 years? Was that 10 years?
Six.
Good for you.
6 years.
6.
It felt like 10, but it
Well,
was.
it felt like, well, yeah, those were Adele years.
Those were Adele.
Fuck, I'm sure we could.
She's on British time.
I'm sure
Yeah.
we could talk to some Tool fans that have a shitload of tattoos and be like, it felt like longer than 13,
You
brother.
did.
Fuck. Well, no, because Adele did 19, 21.
19, 21, 25, and 30. But that wasn't like spaced like she was. It was just the year that she's writing from. So
I thought she was 19 when she released 19.
I mean I don't know if when it was released, but like she wrote it when she was 19, and from the perspective of when she was 19.
If I dusted off some of these bullshit recordings that I found of me like in high school, I would release that as 16. Is that the point?
I think so. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that. That might be wrong, but because it
I
was
thought she was
too
19.
long between 20. Because she released it when she was 31, which is insane to think that she's basically my age. Because I think of her as like a grown up.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm like, she's younger than me. She's a freshman when I was a senior.
Oh, yeah,
that's
some
insane.
shit. That's some shit.
Right?
Yeah.
I always think of
Perspective.
celebrities. I've been rewatching the
Oh yeah, we get that age.
like I just been rewatching shows, and they are my age in when I was watching them when I was younger, but in my mind they were grown up, and then rewatching them now we're like, oh, I'm 34. I'm like, oh shit, I am the same age as these people. It's insane.
So I told you about the conversation I was having with our friend Danny Chrissinger.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, like, well, Danny, you know, I'm a little bit older. I'm like 37, but dude, that's like honestly, like, I'm sitting there like telling him, like, that's practically 40, like in most people's minds. And as I'm saying this, he's just going, dude, Robin, as you said that, like the only thing I heard was, I'm 40.
I blacked out after that.
Like literally, it was like 3 got transferred to 4, 7 went to 0. That's all I fucking heard from you. I'm like, dude, that is the best fucking thing I've ever heard.
God damn it.
I'm
man.
like explaining this. I'm like, no, man, it's
Your brain just
37,
went,
but that's like, dude, most people view that as 40. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm 40, 41, 40. You're 40. For 40. Okay, so so fucking funny. Not even trying to be a dick. Just like, I'm sorry, man. That's just all I heard.
Just knowing I'm closer to 40 than I am at 21 blows my mind. Because
Oh shit.
I am closer to 40 than I am 21. What?
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
my buddy at the tool show brought up that it's my 20-year high school reunion, or it's ours, but we didn't go to the same high school. And I'm like, dude, I should go to his. Like, I don't want to fucking go to mine. And I'm like, is there any fucking redheads that I can say I was
Right?
there?
Yeah.
Like, I know like a
There's
got to
be at least one ginger in the school.
Yeah. So I'm like, seriously.
I
that's
transferred out junior
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I
Probably don't
to-
remember.
See, the thing is, I went to elementary school with most of those kids, so it's like, it's been about 25 years.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so that, I'm probably not going to go to any of those, but if the only one I consider is not my high school.
Did you go to your tenure?
No.
Yeah. Have you gone to any of yours?
I have not gone to any of mine.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of vacations, and I don't want to spend it going back to
Yeah,
Texas
to
to
Tucson.
do
Yeah,
that.
there you
I also
go.
feel like with social media, they're just like not necessary
Yeah, I don't
anymore.
really give
Like
a shit.
anyone
I
I
could-
want to keep up with, I can.
That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's like
Yeah.
there's like a dozen or so people that I'm friends with from
Yeah.
like quote friends with on Facebook that it's just like, yeah, I can kind of keep tabs on you if I want.
And I think people
Haven't
just
even done that.
who have different experiences in high school. Not everyone was completely miserable in high school, and I think
Oh, I fucking
still,
hated it.
There's
but
a
it's
lot of
just like-
people, especially from my high school, that still they are the exact same group. Like the group of 12 of them that hung out
Right.
are
Are
still
just doing
friends.
the fucking same
They,
photos
you know, they
and, just,
and
yeah.
no shade or anything, but like
Yeah,
they
not for me.
that would be their excuse to get together, which would make sense. Like if they are still close friends, but like I would not name one person that I would buy a ticket to go to Tucson
That
to go
is
see.
a fucking awesome segue into the topic, though.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
You're
It is.
welcome.
shoot.
Uh-huh. Silver platter.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You want to drop it?
No, you got it.
All right. So we're going to talk today about feeling like we're being a burden to our friends, or feeling like we can't ask for help because we're going to be a burden.
Yeah.
This comes up a lot for me with a lot of the shadow work that I've been doing recently, and also with a lot of the clients that I help. You know, a lot of people think that they need to shoulder this burden because they don't want to, you know, burden somebody else, share their problem, make somebody else have to feel sorry for them. I mean, it can go as small as, and small being relative, but as like asking a friend to take you to the airport, right? To
So
the
much
point
anxiety.
of like, I've lost a loved one that's close to me, and I don't feel like I can share this with somebody because I don't want to drop this amount of negativity, potential negativity, onto their life because of XYZ that they're going through, right? And anywhere in between, you know. And it's really, I mean, I can just speak for myself. I welcome anybody's help. And it's taken me a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But not only do I welcome help, but I welcome you to share your burdens with me, because I've been lucky enough to do some self-work to be able to feel like I can help shoulder pain and suffering.
Yeah.
And not look at it as a burden, but just look at it as other emotions coming in. So, but again, it's taken a long time for me to get to that point, but it's 40 years of me overly burdening myself to the point of decrepity, right? Like to the point of where like I'm financially burdening myself, I'm physically burdening myself, I'm emotionally burdening
Yep.
myself, just because I don't feel like that other person can either help me. I don't want to burden them, or what it really boils down to is, I mean, down deep is I don't feel like, maybe I don't feel like I have the confidence in them helping me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but there's like a lot of layers to this stuff.
I have
Can we-
so many things I want to talk about.
Yeah.
This is such a
when
good
you
topic.
say confidence in someone helping me, like if they say, you know, like you don't think like Is that in reference to, okay, if you know?
Is their help going to become more of a burden?
Totally.
Yeah,
most
like,
definitely.
cool,
that kind of a
yeah,
thing, like-
you helped and your heart was in the right place, but here
But now I
am.
have to take care of you on
You
top
know,
of
it could
taking
go
care
as
of me.
simple as like helping someone with quote side work and shit. If we're gonna use a work
Yeah, most
example,
definitely, yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But and the reason I bring that up is because a lot of times we don't understand how strong somebody is until we give them the opportunity for strength, right? So when we withhold, let's say a burden, for example, right? Since we're on that, so if we withhold a burden from somebody and saying like, "Hey, I need help with this.
Yeah.
Can you help me with this?" You're taking away their opportunity to step into their humanity
Yeah.
and maybe be somebody different than you thought that they were,
Yeah.
right? And giving them that confidence that maybe they needed. No, but maybe somebody's never asked them for help and they've been wanting to give help. And now that you have the opportunity to say, "Hey, friend, I need help,"
Yeah.
emotional support of some sort. And then that allows them to rise into their authentic humanity and to be like, "Hey, this is an actualization moment for me. I never knew I could be helpful."
Right.
Right?
So kind of. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
Do you think, like, because for me, it's a total one-way street. Like, I feel like I am a burden onto somebody else when I bring my shit, or perfect example, when we were leaving for Tennessee, like 2 weeks before like a month before we were supposed to go, someone had asked me to watch their dog, and without a doubt I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, I would love to help, not a problem." But then we found out one of Mandy's aunts is sick, which is why we went out to go see them. I got this immense stress, like I couldn't ask them to do the same because it was different, because it was me and my dogs. I have 2 of them, and I came up with all these excuses of like, well, they're harder than this dog, and maybe they don't know dogs as well, not as well as my dog. And so now, and then it became this whole thing, and I worked myself the whole time. And when they came to pick up the dog, I had worked myself up so much that she could like see it on my face, and she kept talking about like, "Hey, if you ever need us to watch your dogs," and I just started bursting into tears, and she's like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "We actually do need someone, but I just felt like I couldn't ask you. We don't know each other that well." And she was just like, "Hey, this is not a problem. Like,
Right.
this is okay." And it was so easy for me when she reached out for help to be like, "Oh, absolutely." But when it goes the other way, it's a way bigger deal for me. So
Right.
I think for a lot of people, it's probably the same, where if someone asks you for help, it's not as much of a big deal as when you reach out for help, but we still psych ourselves up like we are this burden, but yet we're able to do that for others.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a mind fuck.
Yep. I agree
So-
100%.
When it kind of going along with what you guys were talking about, it made me think of this thing I read like a couple weeks ago, and it not switching subjects, but it gets down to taking compliments, and I'm notoriously fucking bad about doing this. Hate it.
I think most people are.
Yeah,
think it,
there's a fine line. I mean, we're not gonna get all Freudian and shit, but there's some people who don't want to do it because they come across as cocky and whatnot. The only reason why I'm bringing this up is it talks about a simple thank you is really the best way. There's many different ways, but just literally saying the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it talks about how somebody is recognizing you doing something good or favorably or whatever,
Right.
and they're expressing that to you. And if you don't fucking at least just say thank you, you're shitting on them
Right.
and like invalidating like their kind of quote, like in many ways kind of sense of like
This
value.
mock humbleness of
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, I look like shit," or like, "Hey, you look nice today," or "Hey, that was oh no, like
Yeah.
playing it down."
Yeah.
Even if you're doing it in a nice, funny way,
Yeah.
it's that knee-jerk reaction
Because
of
you're-
shooting down what you just said
Yeah.
and letting you know that I know I'm a piece of shit, that I'm humble, and I know I'm not too good for my own
Right.
britches or whatever. But like, subconsciously, it takes a toll on you. I think without us really knowing it.
Right. Yeah.
Or acknowledging what we're doing, and it's so hard to just be like, "Thank you," and then just end the sentence. It is so hard to do that.
One of the techniques or things that was kind of furthering along that was talking about as using the example that this person used was a baking example, and it was someone's like, "Oh, you make the best blah blah blah," and as opposed to kind of taking that as pivoting the conversation to, "Oh yeah, I tried this new thing, and I
Right.
spent this
Explaining.
last hour trying to do this fucking technique on
wasn't
these
sure if it was
cupcakes
gonna
or
work."
whatever."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to even, because you're not actually even, whether or not you agree with the compliment or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's the way you can do it.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the topic, but you get what I'm saying?
I
About
do,
How I
I
kind of
do.
feel like those are kind of similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that goes along parallel with this topic is being able to accept compliments,
Yeah.
being able to have somebody else see something in you that you might not even see in you.
Yeah.
It's like a
And that's
self-worth thing.
Such a
Like,
hard thing.
Yeah.
And you and I talk about this a lot. I for the longest time deflected compliments left and right.
Yeah.
And now one of the things that I'm working on is embracing that compliment. And even if it does feel good, just allowing it to feel good
Yeah.
and not feeling like bashful about it or
Yep.
braggadocious about
Right.
it, but just like having that, it's love, right?
Yeah.
Somebody is sharing a loving moment with me, and I'm going to embrace that love and see how it feels in my body.
Yeah.
I'm consciously not letting that go to my head as like, hey, cool, look at me, check
Right.
mark on Adam's civility, right? No, it's like I'm just embracing that moment,
Yeah.
that just happened. I'm gonna take it in and see how that lands with me, and then maybe
Because
go from
what's
there, right?
what's the downside to just being like accepting it?
Right.
Like, what is the bad thing that we are all afraid of? Like, are we afraid that someone else is going to think something of me? Someone else is going to think I'm overconfident, or too burdensome, or whatever the case may be? Like, I think it's more about we want to make sure what the other person knows what we think about us.
Right. Well, and I think for me, a lot a was not deserving.
Yeah.
I never felt I deserved it.
No.
And so my
especially with
backhanded
burdening
way,
someone, like I
Yeah.
am not worthy of this work that I'm going to put you
And to
through.
your credit,
like,
I've
I'm not
seen
worth
you.
it.
I've seen you go in leaps and bounds over the last, since we become friends. Like in those, quote, put the work in. I've seen you actually fucking do that.
Actually, a mutual friend of ours, Kim Londo.
Yeah.
Remember
Oh,
Blondo?
yeah,
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
Shut up!
Fucking shout out to Blondo,
Kim
man.
Londo!
She Facebook messaged me today and said, "Hey, I'm taking a leadership and management course, and I'm doing this project. And my teacher asked me, who was your favorite boss that you've ever had, and have you ever told them that?" And
Oh,
she
wow,
goes,
that's very cool.
"Hey, I realized that you were one of the best bosses I've had, and I don't know if I ever told you that. So thanks for being an awesome boss." I'm like, well,
Very cool.
And that's 10 years removed,
Yeah.
and so like.
You are the best boss I ever had.
Wow.
Hands down.
You remember the
Truly.
shitty
Thank
ones,
you.
too.
Thank you. Yeah, most
That was a
definitely.
test. That was a test, and you passed. Thank you.
Right. But but it was so like caught me off guard.
Yeah.
But it made me feel so good because that's a life that I haven't lived in a long time,
Yeah.
managing people and being around that atmosphere. And when I was that person, I was just starting my spiritual journey, so I
Right.
was still drinking a lot. I was still,
You're in a different place.
very, very different place. And to know
But you're
that
still
there
able
was
to make impact.
make an impact, exactly. So it's good. It's good to have those moments. But so with burdening though, I mean, do you have an example of something recent that where you were like, shit? I mean, you just talked about your dog.
Yeah, I think like especially with the pandemic too, it's like the world when I feel like the world is already so hard, I don't want to add another thing to a person's plate, but I have been trained to take on more than what can fit on my plate, and because I'm the one that would rather be uncomfortable than making someone else uncomfortable.
Right.
But what that does is create this boiling rage inside of me that is not directed at any one person, but like it builds and builds and builds, and it's just this cycle that I have broken. But like I can see looking back, like it was a boiling point of just taking on too much, and then all of a sudden having this explosion
Right.
moment of like, and people would be like, what the fuck did this come, where did this come from? And it's like, oh, it's been building up for 6 months because I've been taking on way too much, and I'm the one that would
Yeah.
rather be, because this is just better than asking anyone else for
It's
help.
easier, it's easier to say yes than no a lot of times.
Yeah,
because you
to
can
my
fucking
own
do that.
detriment,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to my own
Yeah.
mental health, and to my own physical health, and financial
yeah.
health, and all of this stuff. And it's like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And in the end, it doesn't help anyone, especially me. But it's still the better option in my head than just reaching out to someone to watch my dog. Like,
Right.
And that had happened. Like I was working on this rage of like, I always ask, or I always take on other people's dogs and no one, takes after my dogs and I'm always that, like, having that dialogue in your head and just working yourself up. And the reality of the situation is I had the universe bring me this person that was more than willing to help if I had just asked.
Right. Yeah.
But instead I spent a week working myself up
and I
in
kind
a
of do
reality
the
that
same
didn't
thing
exist.
where a lot of times it's just like I'll spin a narrative in my head. Where
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, is that actually true? Have you actually spoken to that person?
Right.
And have you actually, quote, basically, have you spoken to that person?
Yeah.
Like, did you ask that person? And now, because it's a lot of times like, fuck, what have they done for me?
Exactly.
Yep.
No one reaches out to me. No one offers me help. And then you just like dig a hole.
And obviously, the not Zen side that I need to throw in there, and this is also true because I still believe this though, is like if you lament, I haven't spoken to that person in so long. Well, they also haven't picked up the phone either.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, and as shitty as that sounds, it's like, well, you also can focus on that too.
Yeah.
Well, not focus, but I mean, I would
not focus. Cool.
Yeah, I would use that as more information to come in to make you not feel bad about not reaching out to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like knowing that like
fucking
people
look
think
at that.
about
Look at that. Are we getting our stride? We're getting our fucking stride. I still need to just throw in some salt and then you fucking sprinkle sugar on it and then Kinsey's like, those boys are doing it.
That was a bro time moment. Trio moment. The Holy Trinity moment.
That was great.
Shit.
That was great.
Yeah, and just and people think about you less than you think.
Yeah.
And we think that we are constant in other people's minds because we're always in ours. So we think, oh, they're thinking this about me or they're thinking that about me. When the reality is they're thinking about themselves because that's their life and that is
nature.
Okay and
Yeah.
what should be.
Yeah.
And we just get ourselves in these emotional headspaces that are not real, the real narrative.
Right.
It's difficult for me because I airport run's a great example. I live by myself and I've lived by myself for a very long time. And because of that, there's obviously, for better or for worse, a fierce independence that comes with that, in which, it's just like, in many ways, I haven't needed to ask for help for so fucking long that it's just like, whenever I do, it's just such a big fucking, when I had that neck thing, and I was fucking, like, needed a couple rides to the fucking neck thing, and it was just like, for me to ask you guys, you and your lady Mon, and we've been fucking homies for so long. I was seriously fucked up about that.
Yeah, I remember that. I
was like paying for Ubers and shit.
Yeah. It's like, nah, man, we got you.
And
like, it's just absurd. Like, it's irrational.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
and I think a lot of people, because I'm the same way, where I've been taking care of myself for so long, even like relationship wise, like I haven't had a lot of long term relationships. Like I like my life the way I have it, and this is what I do for myself. I get myself from A to B here, and so we get in this routine of taking care of ourselves. And so when reaching out to somebody is different, it feels uncomfortable because it's not what we're used to. So I wonder if the more we ask for help, the more comfortable we would be with it, because it's not. It would become the norm. And and I think the thing I have to get over is when I ask for help for people, it doesn't always mean that, like, growing up, a lot of that came with like strings attached. So anytime if I asked for help and got it, that I owe said family, and I would rather not owe anyone. I'd rather owe myself. And I think that is a narrative that's not entirely true, but that is what it feels like, where it's like, I don't want to put this person out, but I also don't want to owe this person anything. Like, I don't want to owe them a trip to the airport, and I feel like I can't say no, but all of that is my own stuff. Like, it's not anything that anyone else is doing. It's all like the shit that's in my head that I'm like old narratives I'm carrying around.
Totally. And it's so so there's two brain things I want to talk about real quick. So the stories that we tell ourselves in our head that we keep talking about, right? That inner narrative, right? That shit we work over, that they'll never do that. Why would I even ask that? Blah, blah, blah,
the
right?
way you see you.
Yes.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that even though we never have those conversations, our body lives those conversations, right? And so the arguments that we have, the
in
disputes,
the shower,
all that stuff, right? Our body lives that. So that stress and that trauma goes into our body,
it's
and it becomes part of us, totally, right?
Yeah.
And so when we can get out of our own heads about just that stuff, right? And sometimes just writing it down. Like if you can't have the conversation, journal about it, right? But getting out of our heads about that, playing the conversation over, practicing conversations, practicing arguments. I'm going to be ready for that. That sucks because your body experiences that as trauma.
Yeah.
Right. And that sucks because you're not actually having that conversation.
Right.
And you probably never will.
Right.
And so why even experience that trauma?
Getting ready for arguments. I mean, that's a good fucking example.
Yeah,
right
most
there.
definitely.
Just like, oh man, and then if they try to come at me with this, I'm gonna have
say
this, and this, and
Yeah.
then they're just gonna be like, what are they gonna be? What?
And I'm going to bring this to the table when they say this, and if
instead
they
it
say
says,
this,
like, hey,
I'm going to say that.
On this, could you do? And then they're like, oh yeah, no problem. I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, I just wasted.
I know.
Just wasted
Totally.
so much shit.
Yep.
That's also the flip side to that. The not zen is also don't go into anything you're about to do unprepared.
There's a difference between prepared. There's a difference between being prepared and like working every single
Chance
angle
favors
of
the
it,
prepared
you know?
mind, my friend. Don't you have that fucking tattooed somewhere on that smorgasbord of a body?
No. It's not on the mural yet. It's not a tattoo anymore. It's
Well, I
just a
fucking
body
forget
mural.
now I'm outnumbered because Shaw, you got like
Oh,
a
yeah,
full
I'm
sleeve,
sleeved
fucking
up,
good
man,
fucking
now.
Yeah,
sleeved
she's got
up.
shit going on, man.
Fucking A.
Second
exactly.
thing-
Don't worry, listeners. You could still hire me for your front-facing job. You're just gonna need someone else to talk for me.
Well, there's CEOs of companies that got more tattoos than I got.
Yeah, that's true. I'm in the minority now.
right.
We've already gone into that.
Second brain thing I want to talk about was when you talked about rituals, and when
Yeah.
we try something different, it's exhausting,
Yeah.
and that's because our brain likes to do the same thing,
Right.
And when we do something that we're not traditionally used to doing, it takes more energy, and our brain has to try
As a
harder.
recovering alcoholic,
And
it's,
puts us in a negative mood, right?
Yeah.
And so when we can create that as the ritual, then our brain's like, that's the go-to. And we just say, hey, you know what? I need help. I know I can call Kenzie and say, hey, Kenzie, need
Yeah.
some fucking help.
Right.
And it's done. There's no stress about where am I going to call, who the fuck's going to happen. But I've got that habit done. The ritual's already created.
Yeah.
There you go.
Going
right?
through worst case scenario in your head and like, yeah.
A lot of times when I have conversations with some people that I'm maybe not as close with as maybe present company, it is kind of funny, and I'm aware of this, that not a lot of people have this quote luxury or have the ability, to have these kind of skills to actually the fact that we're recording what we're doing right here, talking about a lot of this shit, not a lot of people, let alone want to put this on quote wax, but also like have these conversations. Shit we talk about is way heavier off the air, obviously, what I'm saying? But it's just like that's the whole thing is like being able to do that. And we're not talking about now, we're obviously getting into the taking the baggage to the airport. Fucking pun.
that
Mine's
Uber X for that
definitely
one.
over 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to
God.
pay.
Yes, I'm paying out the ass for my baggage.
But a lot of people don't have friends that they can fucking talk to about that. First of all, or even the ability to do that in a
And I don't know, I even had the vocabulary honestly until recently, and so this is all kind of new for me too. Like this is not something
gets
in
easier, but
2019 that I'd probably be able to talk about in the same way.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do a lot with my own headspace, and I also think like just being able to view myself in a nicer way makes it easier to deal with other people, because I'm not assuming that they are thinking the same negative things that I am thinking about myself, and so that is kind of not eliminated but lessened in my thoughts, and it makes the rage bubble, the anxiety bubble, a little bit easier to deal with because I'm being kinder to myself. So when I have those thoughts of like, oh, they'll never do this, no one reaches out to me, blah blah blah, I can kind of catch myself and be like, okay, you're spiraling. And 3, 4, 5 years ago, that's just normal inner
just
brain talk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's giddy up, bro.
Right, and so
fucking Tuesday morning.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just my getting ready routine. Brush my teeth, shit on my life. Like it's just part of the life.
Giddy up.
Yeah, like there's
Throw
just
on the
not
face
another
and go to work.
option.
Yeah.
So I think the better we can take, and the other thing is too, if we can take better care of ourselves, like with me with my whole baggage of like not feeling like I owe someone, that comes from a place of like being obligated, being angry, being burdened, and those are all like really negative emotions. But if I can view it as like, oh, this is maybe an opportunity for me to help and be in a different headspace if someone asks me for
there you
something.
go.
So like it could be the same situation, but I'm in a different headspace, so I'm going to maybe be more likely to say yes to helping because I'm not going to be spiraling in my brain about all the things bad that have happened and who hasn't reached out and who hasn't done this specific thing for me. like all that chatter's gone. So I think that helps too.
Yeah, because then you can change your perspective on it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that's one of the things with that I think that meditation helps a lot with is it gives you an opportunity to look outside of what your current perspective is and see the bigger picture
Yourself.
of it.
Get outside of yourself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And when you can do that, the emotions go away.
Right.
And when you can separate yourself from your emotions from a situation, whether it's something you're bringing onto yourself or you're asking for help with, that frees up so much space for you to be more objective about how to approach the situation.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, we talk about mindfulness a lot, and now it's a regular vocabulary word in our language.
Yours.
But well, my language, but you know,
Yours,
you know what it means.
You know it now.
and
I
that's-
have to. Well, yeah.
You've shoved it down your throat
Right.
enough. Be mindful.
See, what's funny is I usually use the phrase I'm mindful of the fact. I don't ever say mindfulness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just it's kind of you have to use that shit now. Use
You know,
that
Goldie
word.
Hawn has a mindfulness organization that she teaches children. So
That's great.
it's becoming more mainstream.
Didn't we talk about Goldie Hawn on one of these?
We did, yeah.
did.
You threw shade at Goldie Hawn.
She's on my body for life, so
Yeah,
you
that's
watch your goddamn mouth.
Yeah,
No,
overboard.
So
Kurt Russell.
we talked shit about her.
Captain Ron. See, I haven't
um,
even seen that movie.
on like the third or fourth
We
episode.
talked about that.
And then we found out
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
Fuck, dude, that's good.
But yeah, but I think it is really helpful to be able to be mindful, be in a good headspace, and be kind to yourself. And I feel like that will eliminate so many issues for me. I don't want to blanket that, but like a lot of my anger and anxiety and depression stuff come from like inner monologue stuff. So if I can quiet that chatter, I'm not as on edge. My
Right.
fuse is longer. I have more patience. I have more perspective. I
Right.
have all of these different resources that I didn't have
Definitely.
before.
And think about your sense receptors, right? We have our sight, we have our ears, our touch, our smell, right? All the five senses that we have. And let's say all of those work perfectly well, right? But as they come in, they're still being processed through our consciousness. And if our consciousness isn't in a good place, then it doesn't matter what's coming in. It's all going to look horrible
My
to
consciousness
you,
is like a Tool concert.
right?
Having to filter all my emotions through that.
So we have to
Fuck
take a moment
yeah.
to
Fuck
get our
yeah.
consciousness to a point to where we can receive
What are you
the
working
information
on, man?
around us.
Everything's good.
we can receive it in that pure way, and
Yeah.
then we can process it, right?
It's not muddied.
Because also, like, when our body is in a calm state, when we're not in fight or flight, when we're in rest and relax, that's when our body can actually do the job it needs to do, right?
Yeah.
It sends out the cleaning crew, right?
Yeah.
So you think about these little guys that come out and sweep out the corners of your liver and your kidneys, and like they're doing all like the fine tuning on your knee joint. They're like, hey,
Bringing
you know,
oxygen to your brain.
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, when our body's in fight or flight, nothing is all that shit is gone, right? Our energy goes to our extremities because in our head we're being chased by a fucking saber-toothed tiger, right?
Survival is the only option.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I'm
if
not
we're-
worried about your heart.
Right,
buddy.
and if we're constantly in that fight or flight, which they've done studies now, it lowers our IQ level by 13 points.
Yeah.
We're operating from a point of intoxication.
because your eyes are darting around the whole time,
you're never gonna be
what's
able to
coming
make
behind
great
your shoulder
decisions.
and
Yeah.
what bad news are you going to get next?
Totally.
And yeah, I
So
absolutely.
finding these ways that we can calm our bodies down to gather the information in the purest way we can, so then we can process and research and
Yeah.
put that information back out there. And a lot of that is, you know, getting out of our heads, asking for help when we need it, you know, offering help when you can have the chance to offer it.
You know, I just back to that real quick, back to that mindful thing. It's easy for me to be very cynical about this and be like, oh, I don't fucking use that word. And as I'm sitting here and we're continuing to talk, I'm like, holy shit. You know, the fact that I'm so aware of this word, the fact that it's just constantly in the vernacular, I shouldn't be lamenting that if I'm sitting here trying to do a podcast, trying to do the exact same fucking thing. The fact that I now know of classes that exist specifically for the idea of working on shit. And then I'm just like, I fuck calling it that.
But
Call
that's the
it
way your
Zen and
brain's
not
been
Zen.
wired.
Well, yeah, no, I'm well aware of that, but it's very funny.
So it's
just
normal for
holy
you. It's
fuck,
okay.
bro. Like, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
It's a good observation, though, man.
Yeah.
There
It's
you go.
very funny. Well, no, but I mean, like, definitely not, like, I mean, maybe not 10 years ago, but like fucking 20 years ago. Let's just, you know, when we were being more delinquenty. Let's just say that. You know, there wasn't fucking mindfulness classes. There weren't ads
Right.
with people referencing that shit.
That was
like,
actually,
you know, like in commercials, in
Yeah.
pop culture, people making mindful references.
so
you know, and
20,
blah, blah, blah.
20 years ago was right when mindfulness started to get
See,
started to
ta-da.
ramp up.
See,
That's when it was a
Our
bunch of guys circle
generation-
jerking out in the wilderness, and then they figured out.
our generation's like, we need to do something about this.
Circle
Mindfulness.
jerking in the wilderness. No, so I
Went
remember. So
mainstream afterwards. We should probably like be more about the emotional aspect, not our physical needs.
Yeah.
yeah. So I remember it was about I started managing in 2004 at Jillian's, and I remember my boss at the time, Jeff,
Yeah.
was the one that introduced mindfulness, and we did mindfulness workshops for the management team and stuff like that. There was books that he had us read and stuff like that. So that was like about
Especially
the
in
early.
a restaurant and bar scenario. Do you know how helpful that would be for staff?
Oh, it's
Jeff-
Do you know
Jeff
how
motherfucking Morgan.
extremely helpful that would
it's pretty
be?
unbelievable.
He is
I mean,
the best guy.
It's I guess maybe something I would not take for granted, but it's just like working like with you and kind of being aware of that. And we've talked about this before about like, you know, some of this was innate, but some of it probably was learned. Not trying to discredit
yeah, most
you and
definitely,
whatnot,
yeah.
but it's just like fuck. I mean, it's very interesting. You know, not a lot of people choose to kind of go about work that way.
Yeah.
No, because it's
harder.
time is money. You got to bust your ass.
harder.
You got to
Yep.
keep working to get somewhere else where you're at's not good enough. You have to keep working towards something else. Like if you're in high school, it's about getting in college, and it's about college, it's getting to this job and this internship, and then from there you got to do this, and then you got like there's just this constant pressure of what's next. And when any job, even restaurant jobs, it's just like it's your next table, it's this, it's that, it's the people coming in, and it's like you have a million things going at you. Like being able to have resources where you could just find a place in your body where you could breathe. Like I feel like in those high stress work environments, or you know, even healthcare working and first responders and all those people that have those really high stress environments, like how helpful that would be to maybe have them take care of themselves,
Right.
so they can not burn out and ruin their bodies and mental and emotional health, like
Right.
especially with what's going on right now. Like ain't nothing wrong with finding a spot to breathe.
Yep, totally. Like there's studies out now that show that people that work high stress jobs overnight, like night nurses,
Yeah.
night doctors, night
Night
EMTs,
Only you alone
They,
can quench your thirst.
they I can't remember the exact statistic, but
Fucking
they've figured out like if you work X amount of hours outside of your normal circadian rhythm,
Yeah.
it shortens your life by a
And they're
specific
working
amount.
24-hour shifts.
Totally. It's
Like,
crazy.
It's not comparable to bar or anything. That's the closest thing I would have. But like, I couldn't imagine the physical and mental damage that would have
Oh my God.
on me.
Totally. Yeah. That would
And
destroy me.
and in regular life, you're already in fight or flight mode, and then you go into that every day.
Right.
Like it's harmful.
Yep. It's harmful to humanity. Mm-hmm. But, you know, so, and you made a good point earlier, Robin, about sometimes we just don't have friend groups. And that is a reality,
Yeah.
you know, and with social media becoming a lot of the ways that we communicate with people.
Oh, that's the fucked thing.
you
I've
know,
been a proprietor for the phone call for a long time because
totally,
of that shit.
totally. Yeah.
No, I
But-
can't.
But, you know, it's,
I'll
I think
call
it's,
you on the phone one of
No,
these
please
days. It's gonna
don't.
fuck you up. Yeah, fuck you. Oh
I'm gonna have
god.
to meditate.
See, like, I'm
Oh.
like joking and now I'm like kind of feeling bad and shit because I'm like, oh fuck, we've been talking about like being aware of this shit. Like, oh, it's fucker out. Fucking FaceTime.
oh, you
What
FaceTime.
oh, yeah.
I hate FaceTime.
I'm not a big
Oh,
fan
no,
of
I
that.
can't.
No, I don't.
It has its place,
But
especially in
it
this
does,
COVID world.
yeah. But to your point about not having friends or maybe not having people to call on, that is a reality.
Yeah.
And so, but I do challenge people that say they don't to really look at the people in their lives, because there probably is somebody out there that you can talk to
Right.
that you're just timid to
Man, that's
reach
one of
out
those.
to.
The
Or you've
more you
convinced
know,
yourself you
know.
can't.
Well,
One of
I mean,
those-
sometimes we gotta feel like we have permission to reach out to people, and which is dumb because you don't.
And also
But-
hearing no from people.
Yeah.
Like that's okay too.
Yeah,
And not
exactly.
having that be they're out to get me, they don't appreciate me, they're not helping me, they're not a good friend. Like people are allowed to say no as well. And
Yeah.
you can move on to, okay, this person said no, this is a boundary they've set, and great. And that's all that needs to be. And I think that's half the battle of asking people for help. Like, what if they say no? Then I'm that friend that asks for help, and like that's a whole new tailspin, I
Right,
feel like
right.
too.
But I mean, but it is good to be prepared for
Tailspin.
that.
Did you ever watch Tailspin?
Oh yeah,
growing
hell
up?
yeah, man.
The
Tailspin.
cartoon?
Yeah.
Yes.
With the ducks and
Right after Gummy
Yeah,
Bears.
totally.
Gummy Bears. That was a
Gummy
show.
bears bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Oh fuck yeah, man.
High adventures that beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. That is your meditation song. If you need to be mindful, just go over the Gummy Bears theme
Holy
song.
fuck.
That will pop into my
I
head.
am
and
so
will be in
glad.
yours
I
now.
am so glad I interrupted whatever
your
important
life.
conversation we're having for me to just sidetrack you on that. I'm like, hey, she said Tailspin. You don't want to get in that emotional. Hey, she said Tailspin. You guys remember Tailspin? Still got it, folks.
Still got it. Still got it.
Fucking hell. Oh, that's good shit. But I think, we were talking about hard to find friends and,
Yeah, and just it being having it be okay to ask people. Not having the fear if they say no,
If they
that's
say no,
okay.
right.
If they say yes, great. They have offered to help you. Take that help, say thank you. Like you were talking about earlier, don't feel like you have to owe them or you have, this built up thing of all worst case scenarios of maybe they're not going to help you in the right way and blah, blah, blah. You've asked, they've accepted, and just take that for what it is. And that takes all the scary stuff out of it. If you can just look at it from a different perspective outside of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the fear of somebody saying no is definitely real.
Yeah.
But I can say for myself that I would say the majority more than not.
So rarely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That people feel honored to help you or to make space, and and if they don't, even the times that people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I can't help right now. There's this empathy that's behind it of like, if I could, I totally would.
Right.
Whatever you need, but right now I have this.
Right.
And it's like, shit. Well, hell, can I help you with that?
Right.
What's going on with you?
So that was a show about gummy bears.
It was about bears that had bouncing abilities. So like they weren't gummy bears like the candy. Their bodies were gummy. So they could bounce on their hindquarters and they'd bounce really high. And so they'd have different adventures.
I think I remember. So they would
Disney.
bounce. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to sing that again? To see if it
I mean, it was.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and
remember this too.
everywhere.
Oh yeah, dude.
I love gummy
Not until
bears.
she sang the song. The song's what gets me. Like I forget all about that stuff, but you sing a
like,
song,
For
and it's
some
like,
reason,
oh yeah, I
that
got
one
you.
is locked in my
the
brain
funniest shit is
cavity.
like Adam's saying all this deep shit, and he just looks over at me like, "Yeah, what do you think of that, Robin?" I'm like, "Wait, so they're
The
gummy bears?"
I'm right here with you, man.
I'm looking this up right now.
So they could just be eaten. Do they grow back?
They don't. No one's eating them, except there was a mean character, but I can't even remember
Like a
that.
Gargamel-esque
Yeah,
type
yeah. There was a
character?
castle.
This shit.
Also, Eureka's Castle. No.
Yeah, I was like,
Look up Gummy Bears.
That's like
Disney Channel.
Late 90s,
Gummy Bears Disney
mid
Channel.
90s.
Also, look up Eureka's Castle if you haven't looked.
Oh,
up
I remember that. That
Eureka's
fucking,
Castle.
Wasn't it that
I don't know
bat
if I
with
remember Eureka's
glasses?
Castle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't
Did
remember
not
that
like
one.
that was Robin's cue to change it. So I'm like, well, salute your shorts is over.
It's like when
I'm
MASH
done.
comes on.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
it's time to go to bed,
Oh,
folks.
God
dude,
damn
dude,
it.
that helicopter means I change. Fucking that.
That means I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Smash is on.
Yeah, fucking so good. Adventures of Gummy Bears.
Oh, The Ventures. Okay, yeah. So is that the official title? Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I never seen this shit.
Oh,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got to.
Never. Was this because of your kids? Was this because of your kids?
No, it's a good show, Robin.
No, that was within my. Oh, you know what this was?
85,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's within my realm.
But I mean, it was like on when I was a kid, and
The
I
Gummy
was
Bears
born
of
in
Gummy
87.
Glen are the last of the great race of gummies.
It's
They
deep.
carry the name proudly.
It's deep, man.
Of
Yeah, I literally
Celtic
thought
gummies.
it was based on just like gummy bears.
No. Much deeper than that. It's
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
message.
Yeah, fuck, dude. I got 6 seasons to get through before this next podcast.
That'll
I'll
be our
watch
next
Falling
podcast.
Down. You can watch the
Yeah,
Gummy Bears.
yeah, there you go. Fucking somebody drew the short straw in this self-work. Fucking self-work weekend. She gets an hour and a half.
You
I
call
have
me
47
after-
hours of fucking cartoons I gotta watch.
Yeah, but you could live stream that shit.
Oh my God, you
Watch the
should.
gummy bears. Fuck, dude, I'll
fucking
eat gummy bears
should.
while I do it. It'll be accurate. It's too funny.
Fucking hell, man. There you go. Yeah.
Is that your cue to wrap it?
Well, we're about an hour. But I think, just to wrap the come back to the whole friends thing, like, give somebody a chance to be your friend.
Yeah.
Right. And ask somebody for help. Like if you have a community that you're a part of, there's a lot of opportunities for finding some kind of help.
Yeah.
And I mean,
People who
even
like
in social
the same
media,
shit.
definitely. Right. Yeah. I found like some of the strongest friends that I have now, I found once I found yoga.
Yeah.
And I started doing yoga for the fitness thing, and now it's become part of my life. So
Yeah, I've noticed that.
yeah, a little bit, So you never know, like the people that
Tone
you see on a
implied.
regular basis, maybe in the gym you go to, the coffee shop you stop at, wherever it is. You never know until you ask, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
And people will surprise you, and people you're not even close to.
You have to give them the opportunity to, I think, is the moral,
You
right?
do.
Mm-hmm.
You really do.
And I don't do that.
I know.
It's an opportunity for their own personal
know.
growth, without even knowing it.
Fuck.
Don't ask me to help you move, though.
Yeah.
No, that's reserved.
That
I
is
mean,
the
Seinfeld
only
did a
one.
fucking episode
Yeah.
about that for a very good reason.
My friend
Keith
bought a
Hernandez.
truck, and
Keith
he
Hernandez.
posted his picture of the truck, and he was like, "This is my new truck. This is I'm a blanket alert to all. I will not be helping anyone move with this truck." And I was like, "That is so smart."
Good for them.
Because when people have trucks, you are down
It
for
sucks.
anybody
It
moving.
sucks.
And
No,
that's where it's good to have your mindfulness
not-
boundaries.
Not so much about it. It's just
Moving is different.
It's the couch. it's the big item. It's the Can you go to Lowe's with me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy a fucking grill.
Shout out to Carrie Joe. I bought a couch off of Carrie Joe from.
Congratulations, she got married a couple days ago.
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Shout out to KJ.
Congrats! Yay,
Hell yeah.
KJ! I bought a couch off her, and it was the biggest, heaviest couch, and we had to finagle it up, down 2 flights of stairs from where she lived, and then up 2 flights of stairs where I lived, and I had 3. This is also. Oh, did I even have anyone? This might have been when I had movers. Because there was a point in my life where I'm like, I'm just getting movers because they're not as expensive as I thought they were.
Couple people, I think I'm just gonna do that when my brother's just.
It's
like,
so
fucking-
worth
yeah.
it. It is so worth it, and it's not as much as you think it is. And if you just factor that into your moving costs, it just makes everything easier.
No,
but
I
I
don't
will
know about
say,
movers.
at Carrie Joe's apartment for sure, I think we had like 2 or 3 people that were not movers
I'll
helping
move all of
down,
the shit.
and those are some real friends. So shout out to Carrie Jo because she helped me move that down the stairs.
Yeah, people that help you move are special friends.
They
She
are.
tattooed your name on her ass.
She did because
that's
I.
right.
It's elite company.
Yes, because I am awesome. And
you
I
are
never
pretty
show up to things. And I heard that she had a bet with Adam that I would not show up to her roller derby. And if I didn't show up, she didn't have to get a tattoo. But if I did show up, she had to get a tattoo on my butt. So the only time I ever showed up, it's not true. I showed up another time after that. But I did it. And she showed up, and I showed up, and she was like, "God damn it."
She secretly
she
wanted
did.
it.
Yeah,
really
she
wanted
did.
it.
She did.
I have
wanna
thought
do
about
that.
getting that exact fat unicorn that she
Fat
got.
chubby unicorn.
Fat chubby unicorn.
It's so funny.
Fat chubby unicorn with my name under it. I have thought so many times
her
about
name.
getting her name
You
under a
should.
fat. I think I will. Now that I have enough tattoos where I'm like, oh,
I'm sure
tattoos
your
are
wife
fun.
will be fine with that.
Oh, she knows the story. Yeah,
exactly.
it's fine.
That'd be great.
No big
it's
deal.
like
Yeah.
you don't have to explain that one away.
So, Carrie Jo, I may or may not have a fat unicorn with your name under
If
it.
you got
pretty
room,
soon.
I mean, she's got full sleeves, KJ.
I got room. Oh, I got
Oh,
room.
KJ listens to this shit. KJ's gonna be like, you better fucking do it.
I know. Now I'm
Do it.
obligated.
Better fucking do it.
God.
We love you, KJ.
You're on the
Love you,
hook. You're on the
KJ.
hook. Love that shit. All right, you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
All right.
You want to do a bro time wrap it up? Well, just off the cuff, see how it goes.
Okay,
Okay,
who wants
ready?
to start?
I'll start first. I'm
Okay.
gonna go.
I'll go second.
I'm gonna go mid. I'm gonna go
Well,
mid.
you're going to go high?
Yes, I
Yep.
mean,
Okay.
I'm pitched higher, right? I'm the eunuch in the group.
The eunuch
Bro
of the-
time.
Bro time.
No.
All right, see you next time, folks.
Oh, my